You know mussels are delicious, but did you know they're also really easy to make? The hardest part is actually getting them home from the store. Let's demystify mussels. Now, the most important thing when you're making mussels is to buy them fresh and keep them fresh until you're ready to cook them. So when you get them at the store, they're gonna come in a mesh bag like this. You can take them home in a plastic bag, but never seal that plastic bag because you want the mussels to breathe. First thing first, let's cut open this mesh bag and transfer the mussels to a strainer that is over a bowl. Now, once you have them in this colander or strainer, we're gonna put some ice on top, and then we're gonna put this in the fridge until we're ready to cook them. So when you're ready to cook the mussels, the first thing you have to do is to clean them. Remove all those ice cubes from the top of the mussels, whatever happens to be remaining, and then transfer those mussels to the bowl that's below. Now we're going to soak these with some water. And what happens while the mussels are soaking is they'll spit out any sand that happens to be inside the shells. So 20 or 30 minutes is all they really need in that water to soak. Grab a scrub daddy that you've devoted only to cleaning mussels, and we're gonna just give the outside of the shells a good scrub to make sure there are no barnacles or anything on the outside. We're also going to look for something called the beard on a mussel. It's the byssal threads, and they stick out of the side of the mussel like that. We're just gonna grab them and pull them off and discard them. If you find any mussel shells that are open, like this one here, give it a little pinch. If it closes on its own, then it's fine to use. If it doesn't close, we're going to discard that and not cook that one. So what I've got here are 2 pounds of cleaned mussels. Now you're going to budget about 1 pound of mussels per person, so we're making mussels for 2. And we're going to make it in the style of the sailor, or also known as moule marinière. So it's a very simple, very basic mussel recipe. First thing you need is a big pot. We're going to turn this pot on to about medium-high heat and let it come to temperature. Meanwhile, we've got all the rest of our ingredients ready. That's a great thing to do while you're letting those mussels soak in the water. We've got some shallot, garlic, thyme, bay leaf, some butter. We're going to use white wine as our main liquid, and then later when we finish the sauce, it's going to be cream, some lemon juice, and some parsley. This pot is getting nice and hot. I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter, and we're going to start to cook our shallot garlic. Now I've just sliced the garlic and sliced the shallot. I'm gonna have that in the sauce at the end. You can mince it if you want to, knowing that the more you slice garlic, the more you chop garlic, the stronger that flavor is gonna be. So we're not looking for any browning here, we're just looking for those vegetables to start to soften. Now when I use wine in a recipe, I always use a wine that I'm willing to drink. Now there's more than one reason for that. One is, of course, I rarely use a whole bottle in the cooking, so it's nice to have a glass of wine. But secondly, if you're not willing to drink the ingredient on its own, it's probably not the best quality to use in your food. So in goes the wine. When we put the wine in, we're also gonna add a bay leaf. We're gonna add a couple sprigs of thyme, and we're gonna let that simmer together for just about 2-3 minutes, just so that the flavors can blend a little bit. So once that's had a chance to come to a simmer and the house starts to smell great, you'll notice there's not a lot of liquid in there, but we're not boiling the mussels, we're steaming the mussels, so you don't need a lot of liquid for this. I'm gonna now transfer these mussels to the pot. I'm gonna turn that temperature up to high, and I'm gonna put a lid on it. Those are gonna steam. It's gonna take about 3 to 5 minutes. And one thing you'll notice that's absent is salt. I do not usually add salt when I'm cooking mussels because mussels come from the sea, so they have a salinity already to them. And you can see when they're done because, of course, their shells open up. If you have a glass lid on your stock pot, you'll see that clearly. So it's time to take them out. I'm gonna get a nice shallow bowl here and a slotted spoon, turn the heat off, and take a look at these beauties. We're gonna transfer them with that slotted spoon to this bowl. It's totally fine if some of the shallots come with them. So actually none of our mussels were closed, which is quite unusual, but do know that if you find one that has not opened during the cooking process, you don't want to force it open, you're going to just discard that. Now let's turn the heat back on under our sauce. We've got great seasoning from the mussels. The mussels have given their juices to our steaming liquid. That's where that salty note comes from. So our steaming liquid is simmering. We're going to add that cream to it. And remember, this recipe is moule marinière. It's mussels in the style of the sailor. We're gonna add a little bit of butter just for a little rich note. Okay, more simmering, reducing that liquid. Let's season it up. I like lots of black pepper, a little squeeze of lemon juice, and a whole bunch of parsley. We're gonna turn that off. We're gonna pour this over the mussels and call everybody to the table because dinner is on.